When Transocean Flight 2187 went down over the North Pacific, I was in the middle of complaining about my chicken dinner. One minute I'm griping about rubbery poultry, the next I'm hanging upside down in my seat with the taste of blood in my mouth instead of that lousy airline sauce. Priorities change quickly at 30,000 feet. They say your life flashes before your eyes in moments like these. They're wrong. What flashes before your eyes are fragments of the plane as it tears itself apart and the horrifying realization that physics has suddenly become very personal. My name is Dale Winters and I wasn't supposed to be on that flight. Last-minute business trip, lucky upgrade to first class, unlucky everything else. The crash itself is mostly a blur. Turbulence that wasn't just turbulence. Oxygen masks dropping. The captain's voice, impossibly calm, announcing we'd be making an unscheduled landing. That's like calling a shark attack an unplanned swim interruption. I remember the ocean rushing up to meet us, the impact that felt like hitting concrete, and then, nothing. Until cold water jolted me back to consciousness. Somehow I'd survived. And I wasn't alone. Hey, over here. Swim this way. The voice belonged to Olivia Reeves, former Air Force pilot turned corporate executive. I'd noticed her during boarding, hard not to, with her commanding presence and the kind of confidence that makes everyone else feel slightly inadequate. Now she was perched on a chunk of floating fuselage, waving frantically. I swam toward her, fighting the weight of waterlogged clothes and the sharp pain in my left shoulder. There's another one, she shouted as I approached. That's how we found Theo Klein, a college physics professor who'd been returning from an academic conference. He was clutching a seat cushion, his round glasses miraculously still perched on his nose, looking more annoyed than terrified. Statistically speaking, he sputtered as we dragged him onto our makeshift raft, this is highly improbable. Tell that to the other 200 people on the plane, Olivia said grimly. We took inventory. Olivia had a gash on her forehead but was otherwise intact. Theo had broken 2 fingers but could move everything else. I had a dislocated shoulder that Olivia popped back into place with military efficiency and zero bedside manner. It hurt like hell, but I kept reminding myself it was better than the alternative. Our raft was part of the first-class cabin wall with some flotation devices lashed to it. Around us bobbed smaller pieces of wreckage, some personal items, and things I tried very hard not to look at too closely. We need to get to shore, Olivia said, scanning the horizon. There. She pointed to a dark smudge in the distance. Island. Maybe 5 miles. Theo adjusted his glasses. Actually, given the curvature and atmospheric refraction, I'd estimate closer to 7 miles. Would you prefer I leave you here to calculate it precisely? Olivia asked. That settled, we began the grueling journey toward land, paddling with pieces of debris and taking turns resting. Night fell before we reached shore, and we spent hours in darkness, guided only by stars and Olivia's uncanny sense of direction. Dawn broke as our feet finally touched sandy bottom. We collapsed on the beach, a pitiful band of survivors, the pilot, the professor, and the businessman who'd complained about his chicken. We made it, I croaked, my voice raw from salt water and exhaustion. Phase 1, Olivia corrected. Now we need shelter, fresh water, and a signal fire. Theo was staring at the jungle line, his scientific mind already cataloging the unfamiliar flora. This isn't a charted island. The vegetation patterns suggest limited human contact. Fantastic, I muttered. Uncharted means undiscovered means no Hilton resort around the corner. Our first day on the island established our dynamics. Olivia took charge, organizing our search for water and materials to build a shelter. Theo analyzed everything, providing useful information wrapped in unnecessarily complex explanations. I complained a lot but turned out to be surprisingly good at finding food, those business lunches finally paying off. By nightfall, we had a crude shelter, a freshwater source, and a fire on the beach that could hopefully be spotted by passing ships or aircraft. We sat around the flames, eating fruit and a fish that Olivia had somehow caught with a makeshift spear. They'll be looking for us, Olivia said with such certainty that I almost believed her. Flight path is recorded. When we don't show up, they'll send search parties. The search area will be enormous, Theo pointed out. And the wreckage will have drifted significantly from the crash site by now. Way to boost morale, Professor, I grumbled. That night, exhaustion finally caught up with us. We took turns keeping watch, Olivia's idea, naturally, but I don't think any of us really expected danger. The island seemed devoid of large predators and our most pressing concerns were exposure and dehydration. I took the last watch before dawn. The others were sleeping soundly when I heard it, a rustling from the nearby wreckage we dragged ashore. I grabbed a makeshift spear and approached cautiously. Hello? Olivia? Theo? No answer, but the rustling continued. Could be an animal, I thought, or maybe some supplies shifting in the breeze. Then I saw a hand reach out from beneath a piece of twisted metal. Hey! Over here! I shouted, dropping the spear and rushing forward. There's another survivor. Olivia and Theo bolted awake, scrambling to join me as I pulled away debris. Underneath was a woman covered in dirt and dried blood but very much alive. She had dark hair plastered to her pale face and was wearing what remained of a flight attendant's uniform. Thank God, she gasped as we helped her sit up. I thought I was alone. What's your name? Olivia asked, already checking her for injuries. Vega, she replied. Vega North. I was a flight attendant on Transocean 2187. How did you get here? Theo asked, his eyes narrowing slightly. Same as you, I guess, Vega said, accepting water from my canteen. I grabbed onto debris floated, must have washed ashore during the night. Something about her story didn't add up. We'd searched the beach thoroughly for other survivors. And her uniform, though torn, seemed too clean for someone who'd spent hours in the ocean. Strange we didn't see you before, I said carefully. Vega's smile faltered slightly. I was unconscious. Probably missed each other in the dark. Olivia and I exchanged glances. Theo was staring at Vega's hands completely unmarked, without the cuts and scrapes the rest of us had acquired. Well, Olivia said with forced cheerfulness, now there are 4 of us. Better odds. But as we helped Vega to our camp, I couldn't shake the feeling that our odds had just gotten significantly worse. Day 2 on the island and our dynamics had shifted dramatically. Vega recovered with suspicious speed, her injuries seemingly minor despite her claim of being unconscious for hours. She integrated herself into our group with practiced ease, offering to help with every task while asking endless questions about our backgrounds, our jobs, our families. So you're in pharmaceuticals, Dale? She asked as we collected firewood. Medical equipment, I corrected. How did you know I was in the medical field at all? Vega hesitated for a fraction of a second. You mentioned it yesterday, didn't you? I hadn't. Meanwhile, Theo was becoming increasingly agitated. I found him dissecting our crashed plane debris piece by piece, muttering calculations under his breath. Something's wrong with the metal, he told me in a hushed voice, showing me a fragment of the fuselage. The crystalline structure is altered. This didn't fail due to stress or impact. It's almost like it was dissolved from within. What are you saying, Professor? The plane was sabotaged? Theo adjusted his glasses. I'm saying this metal shows evidence of molecular deconstruction that doesn't occur in nature. Before I could press him further, Olivia approached, her face tight with concern. We need to talk, she whispered. About our new friend. The 3 of us met at the far end of the beach out of Vega's earshot. She had volunteered to stay behind to tend the signal fire. She's not on the manifest, Olivia revealed. I memorized the crew list before takeoff, habit from my flying days. There was no flight attendant named Vega North on that plane. Maybe you missed her, I suggested, though I didn't believe it myself. She doesn't know standard transocean protocols, Olivia continued. I tested her earlier. And she's far too calm for someone who just survived a catastrophic crash. Theo nodded vigorously. Her behavior displays none of the markers of post-traumatic stress. And I've been watching her movements, they're too precise, too efficient. It's like she's performing humanity. You both sound paranoid, I said, though my own suspicions had been growing. What are you suggesting? That she's not human. The silence that followed was answer enough. We need proof, Olivia finally said. And we need to be careful. If she's not what she seems. We agreed on a plan. Theo would create a distraction while Olivia and I searched Vega's sleeping area. It wasn't much of a plan, but options were limited on an uncharted island with potentially 1 non-human survivor. That night, Theo engaged Vega in a deliberately complex conversation about quantum physics while Olivia and I slipped away. In the crude shelter where Vega had been sleeping, we found nothing at first until Olivia noticed disturbed sand in one corner. Digging down, we unearthed a small metallic device unlike anything I'd ever seen. It pulsed with an eerie blue light and was warm to the touch. What the hell is that? I whispered. Nothing good, Olivia replied grimly. We heard footsteps approaching and quickly reburied the device, moving away from the shelter just as Vega rounded the corner. What are you 2 doing? She asked, her voice pleasant but her eyes sharp. Reinforcing the shelter, Olivia lied smoothly. Storm coming. Vega looked at the clear sky. Is it? I hadn't noticed. That night, none of us slept. Vega sat by the fire, staring out at the ocean while the rest of us pretended to rest while watching her. Around midnight, when she thought we were all asleep, she retrieved the device from its hiding place and began adjusting it. In the firelight, her face seemed to ripple, features momentarily losing definition before settling back. It was subtle, I might have missed it if I hadn't been staring directly at her. At dawn, we confronted her. "Who are you?" Olivia demanded, the three of us standing together opposite Vega. "And what are you doing here?" Vega's pleasant demeanor vanished, replaced by something colder, more calculating. "I'm a survivor. Like you." "No," Theo said. "The crash pattern, the molecular deterioration of the fuselage, this wasn't an accident. And you weren't on that plane." Vega considered us for a long moment, then smiled. It was the same smile as before, but now it seemed wrong somehow, like she was wearing a mask that didn't quite fit. "You're right," she finally said. "I wasn't on the plane. I caused it to crash." The admission was so casual, so matter-of-fact that it took a moment to process. "Why?" I managed to ask. "To study you," Vega replied. "Human resilience is remarkable. Your species adapts to trauma in ways we never anticipated." "We?" Olivia echoed. Vega's form shimmered, the human facade briefly giving way to something else, something with too many angles and not enough softness. "My kind has been observing Earth for centuries. We're particularly interested in how humans respond to isolation and crisis." "You killed 200 people for a sociology experiment?" I was shaking with rage. "We saved 3, Vega corrected. "The specimens we found most interesting." Theo stepped forward. "The device you buried, it's a transmitter, isn't it? You're reporting back to others." Vega nodded. "They'll be here soon. 3 Earth days, perhaps less." Olivia's military training took over. "What happens then?" "More tests," Vega said simply. "More comprehensive ones. Your cooperation would make things easier, but it's not required." We backed away, huddling together at the edge of the camp. "We need to destroy that transmitter," Olivia whispered. "And then what?" I hissed. "We're still stranded on an island with ET's evil scientist cousin." Theo was oddly calm. "The device uses quantum entanglement for communication. If we could reverse the polarity." "In English, Professor," Olivia snapped. "We could send a signal to Earth instead," Theo explained. A real distress call. Getting to the device meant distracting Vega again. This time I volunteered. "So," I said, approaching her with forced casualness. "How exactly does one become an alien researcher? Is there a degree program for that?" Behind me, Olivia and Theo crept toward the shelter. Vega's eyes narrowed. "You're stalling," she said. "Your companions are attempting to access my equipment." "No," I said. "They're destroying it." Vega's form rippled with rage as she lunged past me toward the shelter. I tackled her, or tried to. It was like hitting a wall of dense fog. Solid one moment, insubstantial the next. Inside the shelter, Theo worked frantically on the device while Olivia stood guard. Vega threw me aside and advanced on them, her human appearance dissolving further with each step. "Stop!" Theo shouted, holding up the now modified device. "One more step and I'll trigger a feedback loop that will fry your entanglement nodes." Vega froze. "You can't understand that technology." "Quantum physics professor," Theo reminded her. "And quick study." What followed was a tense standoff. Vega couldn't approach without risking the device, and we couldn't escape the island. For hours we maintained our positions, neither side willing to concede. Then, distantly, we heard it, the unmistakable sound of helicopter rotors. "Impossible," Vega hissed. "No one knows you're here." Theo smiled tiredly. "I didn't destroy your transmitter. I amplified it. Every emergency frequency from here to Hawaii is now receiving your signal and our coordinates." The helicopter appeared on the horizon. Then another. "Coast Guard. Rescue." "It's over," Olivia told Vega. "Whatever you are, whatever you wanted, it's done." Vega's form shimmered one last time before stabilizing into human appearance. "This changes nothing. We've been studying you for centuries. We'll continue to do so." "Maybe," I said, "but not today and not us." As the helicopters approached, Vega backed away. "You won't be believed. A crashed plane with no apparent cause? An alien researcher? They'll dismiss you as traumatized survivors." She was right, of course. Who would believe us? That's why we're keeping this, Olivia said, holding up the alien device. Physical proof. Vega's expression flickered with what might have been respect. Clever. But remember, there are more of us, and we're always watching. With that, she turned and ran into the jungle. We could have pursued her, I suppose, but the approaching rescue seemed more important than chasing an alien shapeshifter through unfamiliar terrain. When the Coast Guard arrived, we told them a simplified version of events. Plane crash, 3 survivors, mysterious island. The device we kept hidden, along with our suspicions about what really happened to Flight 2187. The investigation concluded that the crash was caused by catastrophic structural failure of unknown origin. The black box was never recovered. Most passengers were presumed lost at sea. Sometimes I still wake up in a cold sweat, thinking about Vega's parting words. I watch the news for reports of unusual accidents, unexplained phenomena, people acting slightly wrong. The plane crashed. Only 3 of us survived. But sometimes, when I'm in crowds, I catch glimpses of familiar faces. A flight attendant with dark hair and calculating eyes, watching, always watching. And I wonder how many of them are already here among us, conducting their experiments one human tragedy at a time.